Can get to an 800 credit score faster than she thinks possible with the right discipline and the right strategy. And maybe you can too if you stick around and watch this full video and understand the simple tweaks that may need to take place. And the reason why I say simple tweaks is because it's just the small things that you might not realize that's hindering your score in many cases, as well as some other things to go along with it. What up, you got Mr. Smith? I'm finna do a credit audit and break down how she can get her credit to 800 faster. And hopefully this applies to you as well, or someone you may know, because many people fall into this score range of 600 credit. So 600 credit is a common score range that many people fall under. So that being said, this may apply to quite a few of you, and understanding that 600 is the fair range. But depending on how low in the 600 range, it will be deemed as poor. Now, this is a Vantage score, but if you understand the things that I'm about to share with you, then you'll understand that a lot of this information is applicable, as well as changing the FICO score. So the things that I'm about to say are principle based. Now, let's go to the top a little bit just so you can understand the importance of this message. Low credit scores cost you. So you invest in time, energy, or money in order to restore your score is worth the investment, because having a low credit score is costing you money. What do I mean? Well, in this example, a person has a Toyota Camry, but they had two different credit scores upon qualifying. One person had a 730, another person had 599. Hypothetically speaking, the person with the 730, total payments would end up being 24,000. The person with the 599, total payments would end up being 33,000. What's the difference? The difference is the person with less than ideal credit paid $9,616 more for the exact same car, sold at the exact same price. That's what you got to understand. So less than ideal credit can cost you a ton. Now let's translate that into homes. Let's say a person is buying the same home. They're looking for a home, 250,000. One person has a 730, the other person has a 599. Okay. With total interest, the payment for the person with the 730, we're looking at 367,000. Person with a lower score, with the total interest calculated in, they're looking at 568,000 for the same house and the same price. Only thing difference, they had less than ideal credit, and that cost them over $200,000 more. This is very important because a lot of times people say, I don't want to invest in credit, or why are people charging for credit? Because it's saving you $9,000 on a vehicle in many cases, or saving you $200,000 on a home in many cases. So this is why you want to invest this time and money and take this information that's being shared with you very, very seriously in terms of you taking your score to the next level. Now, I don't want to start the process without letting you know these 5 angles that determine your credit score. Reason being, the example that I'm about to give you, this person, had they known what I'm about to say right now, they would have probably had a higher credit score right now. They would have probably already been in the 800s due to the fact that they just didn't know these 5 factors. So these 5 factors are very important, because if you know this, then you won't fall victim to whatever anybody else is advertising to you. And trust me, it's a lot of people advertising things to you and saying you need this, you need that. Not all the time. Not all cases is good information always beneficial to you. Yes, that information may have been solid, but it was solid for the individual it was intended for, not necessarily for you. So not all advice is applicable to you, and not all advice is good advice, even though it may be good for someone else. So the 5 factors, let's break it down. 5 factors as it relates to payment history is: number 1, payment history is basically the 35% that comes from you paying your bills on time. If you have late payments, then it affects your payment history. If you have charge-offs or collection, it affects your payment history. 35% of that area is 192.5 points. That's very important. And a lot of people only focus on that. And it's important, but you don't want to leave the other factors hanging, because it's still 65% left. So 35% comes from amounts owed. I like to call this CU, which is credit utilization, because it's usually dealing with the utilization as it relates to your credit cards. So if you look at your credit cards and you look at the amount you have available to spend, or the amount you spent in comparison to the amount available to spend total, which is the credit limit, then you will be left with a particular percentage that you've used. For example, for easy math, let's say you had a $10,000 credit card. If you've used 9,000 of that credit card, then that's 90%. 90% utilization on your card will negatively impact your score. But you take that same $10,000 credit limit, but you only had $900 spent, and that will positively impact your score. How much is this area worth? This area is worth 165 points. 165 points from this alone. So a lot of people can benefit from making sure that they understand the right way to go about paying their credit cards. More details on that later. The length of credit history. This is usually the credit age, and this is an average based on your new or old accounts. They take an average of all of your accounts and determine what your credit history will be. And this is responsible for 82.5 points. So it's important to understand that. That way you're not opening up accounts unnecessarily. And then the last two are equally the same. They both are worth 55 points each. New credit is basically your most recent 2 years, what new accounts you have, and inquiries fall under there as well. Credit mix is just basically saying you have the ability to manage multiple types of credit. If you have the ability to manage multiple types of credit, then you'll be rewarded up to 55 points. So hopefully that's clear. And understanding that it's your behavior that affects your credit score. A lot of times people think it's going to be this magic pill. Yes, it can be some strategies, some tools, some code violation, education that can help you clean up your credit. I'm not escaping it, but I always like to tell people, listen, it's a team effort. If I'm working on restoring your credit, it's some responsibilities that you have as well. If you're doing it yourself, then yes, the guidance, the letters, the code violations, and understanding the consumer laws will help you restore your score. However, your behavior will ultimately affect your score. Let's just call this habits, because bad habits will still contribute to you not having a good score, even if you have the right strategy. So your habits will definitely ultimately determine your score. Very important. Now, these are the things that tie into most people's habits. Ask yourself these questions. This is between you and you. So you got to ask yourself these questions. Number one, do you pay your bills on time? Number two, do you have long credit history? Number three, have you applied for credit recently? Number four, what is your outstanding debt? You want to ask yourself these questions, and it'll start to unpack where you may fall in terms of your habits, paying things on time, applying for too many things. Or do you apply and you have all of these new accounts, which makes your history a little young? Do you have outstanding debt that may have gone late, then maybe even went to collection or charge-off status? All of these things are questions worthy of asking yourself. Now, here's the summary of this person's score. Right now they have a score of 629, 618, 625. But I said that this person can get to an 800 rather quickly if they understand certain things. Now, this is something I want to point out. They have 48 accounts. And honestly, when I had a conversation with this person, they didn't have to have 40 plus accounts. What happened is they were online searching the World Wide Web or looking on social media, and they had all of these people giving advice. And a lot of the advice that was given was good advice. The problem was it just wasn't good advice for them. Meaning, yes, it would have made sense or helped somebody if they opened up this particular account. Yes, it would have made sense if they established or got this credit cards or opened up this many credit cards, depending on the individual. But for her, it caused her to negatively impact her score by having too many accounts. And what it did was it lowered her credit age, and it had her to open up so many different accounts that it caused mismanagement in the areas of certain credit cards. So when your credit age is dropping due to new accounts, and you have too many things that you're trying to juggle, then you wind up getting closed accounts. So it lowered the credit age, but it also hurt and caused closed accounts. Plus, you getting a ton of inquiries, in many cases unnecessarily. So that's just something that I wanted to make note of. Now, it is some positivity associated with this account as well, or these accounts as well, which is great. And this is what makes it a bit more easy than most to get her score to an 800, because she does have some positivity, does have some good things going, and some quality things to work with. But for her, she didn't necessarily need new accounts. She had enough quality things to work with. Some people just need to understand, hey, I don't need any new accounts. Let me just properly manage the things that I already have. Let me just properly do the things that are necessary in order for me to take full control of my credit situation without me getting into a new relationship with a new bank, lender, creditor, etc. Very important. And of course, these negative accounts, these are some of the ones that, we want to aim towards getting deleted and or updated to positive, depending on the scenario, and just see when is the time frame that they may no longer have an impact on the score. Now, this is something that can really help. And as it relates to her profile, this right here says maxing out your credit cards will lower your score if you pay down balances below 30% of your available credit limit of each card. That will increase your score. Now, I want to cross this part out because my recommendation is less than 10%. And truth be told, less than 5% can even be better. So right here, 30% is not bad. It's not bad. I just say, it's not bad. However, less than 5% is much better. So she's getting some of the credit utilization points that may come from credit usage, which is 165 points. But she could be getting more. As you'll see that her total available credit is 17,000. The current credit card balance is 5,000. Not bad, not the worst. And a lot of the cards that she had were at a zero balance, so she's using it the right way. The nugget, and many of you, if you don't listen to anything else, this may help you. The nugget that she's going to benefit the most from and is going to help her long term is understanding when these creditors actually report to the credit reporting agencies. What day do they report? So you want to find out the report date. Let's just call it that. Contact them, say, what day of the month do you report? Find that out. Ask that question. What day of the month do they report? Once you know this puts you in power. This puts you in power. You go to a whole nother level when you understand when they report. This puts you in power just by understanding when they report. Why? Because if you know what day they report, then you know exactly what you need to do, or exactly the date that you need to go about having your balance as low as you possibly can. So that report date is very important. And now you control that area of your credit. You determine what they're going to be reporting. So this month they might have reported 31%, but next month they might report 1% because you know better. And now what they does is two things. Number one, it can help boost your score. So let's just say it'll boost your score. That's number one. And number two, and this is very important, it saves you money in the area of interest. So a lot of people have low or high interest rates. So even if you had a 28% interest rate, my question to you is, what's 28% of zero? If you had a zero balance, $0.00, what's 28% of zero? Zero. So that saves you a ton on interest just by getting control of this. And this is something that can also help your score go up to 165 points. Now she's already benefiting from some of those points, but like I stated, up to 165 points. And that's on a per bureau basis, just by understanding that. Now, in addition to getting control of the credit cards, you want to focus on the derogatories. Okay, we got some delinquents. We got some derogatories here. We got collections. And you look at all of them, and what you're looking for is seeing if you can find some errors, inaccuracies, things of that nature. Then we have quite a few inquiries. It's better to look for the inquiries that do not have accounts associated with them. If you want access to our 24-hour inquiry removal guide, then check the comments or the description below. And many people have been able to use this and get some success. Will it be guaranteed under 24 hours? Not all the time, but it's usually faster than mailing out the letter. So that's just something you can take advantage of, amongst other things. But you want to do a combination of building positivity. When you're restoring your score, you want to build positivity, not always adding accounts. So when I say building positivity, this doesn't mean adding accounts. This could be paying bills on time. This could be lowering credit utilization. This could be staying away from applying for certain things. This could be making sure that, you keep accounts old and not closing them. This is building positivity over time. So you want to do a combination of building positivity as well as cleaning negativity. Cleaning negativity. So if you do a combination of building positivity and cleaning negativity, then your score has no choice but to go up. Your score has no choice but to go up because you're doing a combination of those things. Very important. And this is why it's a team effort. Now, when it comes to getting things deleted, what we make sure that we do, we're not trying to lie or deny. Because as you can see, it's 25 delinquent items. You don't want to get in the habit of doing any and everything just to try to get things deleted, because you do not want to lie or deny. You just want to use the loss to your advantage. That's the main thing you want to do. Use the loss to your advantage. So if you look here, you'll see that we got late payment here, late payment here, late payment here. This is the derogatory that included, some type of collection. So you definitely want to hammer that in. That's LVNV. Then we got derogatory collection here as well. So all of these things are negatively impacting the score. Another collection here, collection there, collection. So we got a lot of collections and things of that nature that are on here. This is derogatory late 90 days. So accounts like this that are late but not in collection, in many cases, you may not, if you want, and you want to examine and look at it, you may not want to get it deleted. Instead, certain accounts that just have late payments associated with it, instead of getting it deleted, you want to get it updated to positive. Because sometimes you can delete an account just because it has some lates associated with it, or just because it was closed, and then you remove the whole account, but you also lose the positivity associated with it. So not everything should be deleted. Some things need to be updated to positive. A lot of people fail to realize that they only want to get things deleted, but they fail to realize that sometimes you just want to get things updated to positive. Now, as it relates to collections, charge-offs, things of that nature, you want to get those type of items removed, and you're basing it on a couple of different things. The things that I'm looking for when I'm trying to determine getting collections charge off, all of the things that I'm looking for that I know can boost the score. Deleted, I'm looking for errors. I'm looking for inaccuracies. I'm looking for code violations. So this is basically a code violation is just anything that has been a violation of the FCRA and or the FDCPA. So the FCRA is the Federal Credit Reporting Act. This is just basically how the credit reporting agencies, but we're just going to focus on the main three, Equifax, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. How are they going about reporting? Are they reporting things flawlessly? Or do they have errors? Or do they have inaccuracies? If they do, then that's grounds for removal. You also want to see if there are any code violations. These are some things that they were supposed to do after you disputed. Did you point out an error? Did you point out an inaccuracy? Did you point out, something in particular that they did in their reporting, errors and balances and things of that nature, and they didn't abide by the FCRA, because that's grounds for deletions. Then with the FDCPA, you also want to look at how the bill collectors or debt collectors are going about collecting the debt. That's known as the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. How are they going about trying to collect? And it's a certain way that they have to go about it as well. And many times they violate people's rights as well. And there's letters that you can send out to dispute both the FCRA as well as the FDCPA. And when you're writing these letters, you're increasing the chances of getting things deleted. Then if these entities don't do what they're supposed to do, and by entities, I mean Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, or anybody that you're disputing, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then guess what? Now you can position yourself, and sometimes you can do this first off as well. So it just depends, on certain factors. But now you can go above them and contact the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Contact the CFPB, and pretty much it's like you say, hey, they ain't doing what they need to do. Let me bring out the big guns, because the CFPB has been known for, winning large lawsuits based on consumers' rights being violated. So the CFPB, if you don't have a free account set up with them, you can do so, and you can go about disputing or filing a complaint if you've already gone through a dispute process and didn't get your needs met. I've done a video on that. I may do another one in the future, but don't be afraid to bring in the CFPB. So you're doing a combination of cleaning up negatives and adding positives. Now, this person also has 28 inquiries, which is far too many. You want this number to be 3 or less. 3 or less. So 28 is far too many. And some of them are dealing with, a vehicle, trying to apply for something vehicle related. And a lot of them are fairly recent. So if they have accounts with them, that's one thing. I wouldn't aim to delete inquiries associated with accounts that are open. The inquiry serves as the key. It's like the key that unlocked the door. If it wasn't for the inquiry, in many cases, you wouldn't have gotten that account. In many cases, sometimes they don't necessarily need to pull an inquiry if you had a relationship with them already. But for many people, they needed the inquiry. However, if it's an inquiry and it doesn't have an account associated with it, it may be grounds for getting it removed, especially if it was some inquiries that was ran excessively. And when you're dealing with applying for a vehicle for, then a lot of times they run your credit excessively. Like right here, you can see on January the 31st of 2024, this was ran for a vehicle all on that same day. And sometimes it's even more than that because all of these are January 31st, January 31st, January 31st. So this is what I call a person whose credit has been run excessively. All of these are trying to get a vehicle. Got flagship credit. A lot of these are auto finances, Acura, Capital One auto finances. So all of these are associated with somebody trying to approve them for a vehicle. Now, granted, only one person probably provided the finances. Let's just say it was Capital One. All of these others, that was excessive, inquiries being ran just to try to get one person to approve it. And a lot of times that person didn't know that they was going to have their credit ran by 10 different people. Very important. So if we do a combination of cleaning up the negatives, the inquiries, getting those removed, that can help with your score. But the bigger focus outside of the inquiries, and we got, like I said, a 24-hour inquiry guide that you can check out below. The bigger focus is aiming to get these collections removed, getting any account that's showing a late payment updated to positive, because you want to get those accounts updated to positive if at all possible, because that can definitely help your score as well. And getting that credit utilization down by understanding exactly when they are going to report. This can help this person score tremendously. So in conclusion, low utilization. Let's see, do I want to take this route? Let's see. Low utilization. So low utilization. Remove collections. Remove none account holding inquiries. Y'all know what I mean. And no more applying for new accounts. So that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this serves you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Hopefully you can, take this information and do something that positions you to take your credit to the next level sooner than later, because a lot of people can benefit from just understanding what is needed in terms of taking their score to the next level if they're in this situation. This is a similar situation that I see across the board. Just wanted to break it down in this method so you can have some things that you can leave and take and run with it Now, if you want access to our free credit class or any other tools that we have available, you should see that in the description. And if you want me to do an overview of your credit profile, then, you know, I have a option that allows me to do an audit on your report. And I just give you the guidance on things that you can do yourself. If you want to hire us to do it for you, then that option is available as well. That's all I got for this video. See you on the next one. Salute.